You're listening to the Next Play Podcast, a podcast for personal development, high achievers, and anyone not wanting to settle for average. We break down mindset, strategy, and unpopular truths behind next level growth. I'm your host, Justin Pates, joined by my co-host, Parker McGee. Let's get into it.
Ready? All right, guys, getting right into it. I've been super stoked to go over this one. Probably one of the more exciting episodes when we look at the 10-episode layout that we've kind of laid out for everybody. Burn the backup plan. I think both of you guys kind of have two different stories when it comes to this. First question is having a plan B hurting your personal growth. Sean, what are your thoughts?
I 110% think it's a problem in the long run, especially if you're trying to go heads first into a situation that you want to be going places with. I think it's one of those things that if you want to be able to give your 110% on something, you can't have anything else in the back of your head for sure.
Cade?
I ditched a plan B a long time ago, and I think just ditching the plan B kind of gives you a pathway. You have one option and you can't fail. So you go to work every day and you know that whatever you're doing, you have to do it correctly and do it the right way and help the customer out. And if you don't, you're not going to be good at your job and possibly be out of a job.
I got to ask you, Cade, because we always do dog you. Cade's one of our local buddies from our hometown, me and Sean both. Works at a bank, eventually hopes of working his way up in the bank to eventually, oversee, all of the bank, right? What is it like, because obviously our dreams and aspirations are a lot different than yours, right? But that is your dream, right? Which doesn't make it wrong, but what is that like always hearing us kind of, throw shots at you just because, again, you're kind of the outsider in our world versus probably back home we're the outsiders in your world.
Yep. We talk about that a lot, actually, I feel like, when we're together. I say 90% of the stuff we talk about when we're just hanging out is your business and AE, and that's okay. I enjoy hearing you guys talk about it. For me, it's cool to see, I've known you guys for 15, 20 years, and to see you guys start, I remember laying curb with you in Lena the very first time. And to see you guys start from there, and now you're at 4 locations.
Yep.
4. I mean, that makes me proud, and I think it's fun to talk about it. So I don't ever really feel like an outsider, even though sometimes it may feel like it when I'm just sitting there and kind of looking around, listening to you guys. But I think it's awesome what you guys are doing, and keep up the good work.
How do you guys know when it's time to fully commit? Sean, how did you know? Because you had an interesting story. Obviously, you were in college, playing Division I football. Obviously, I call you. I'm like, yo, Sean, we should do this. What's your thought process? How did you know? Hey, let's go head first into this.
I think a lot of the times, I think it's something that I have a fabrication in my room, actually, that from my dad. It says, face everything head on, don't turn away until you're completed. And whenever I see that, that just makes me think of anything I do, you got to give everything you got. You can't think about what other options you could be, what other paths you could be on. You have one path and you got to give everything you got to that path. And so once this opportunity came, you brought it to me, it was all in or nothing. And it's just more so of taking that first step. And once I get to that first step, you're full blown, you're sprinting, you got no turning back. So
I think sometimes too, weighing the risk, right? You were playing Division I football. It's what level of risk is involved in you going and do this? I think, from me seeing it right away, it was kind of what is there to really lose? 6 months of your time, which is, a very, very short amount of your time. In the situation you were in, there was a lot to gain. Obviously the situation I was in, there was probably a little bit more to lose because I was still at TSR. So it was kind of a perfect, the brew of the perfect storm between me and you both, to where I couldn't let go fully. You were obviously still in college, probably weren't super happy there, to the point where you're just kind of like, yeah, like there's not really that much to lose. So I think evaluating that risk is obviously another massive part of exactly what you just said, because you evaluate the risk, and then if it is time to fully commit, like, let's go.
Yeah. Which, I mean, once again, I was 18, you were 19 at the time which we started it. I mean, like you said, there's basically, like, if there's any risk in it, it's because we wasted 2 years of our life of going to college, and we're just going to start that over whenever something doesn't work out, right? So, like, I mean, in Cade's shoes, not that, like, his way was wrong by any means, because, like, 95% of people do it that way, or whatever ends up being, like, the worst case scenario is some people's best case scenarios. And, like, once again, I see that all the time as well, but it's just a matter of fact of, like, oh, whoa, like, what's next? Like, like, if something bad happens, but you can't really have that in your head at the same time too. Like, you got to be full force, like, moving forward.
I feel like once you get committed to something, if you're not giving 100% to whatever task it is that you're doing at that time, you're doing not only yourself but also whoever you're working with a gigantic disservice.
I think too, like, Cade is like a pretty, like, he has these moments in him that, like, do get fully committed. And one thing that just, like, triggered my mind right away was, like, taking charges in basketball. Cade was like the guy to just always do it, and just like a weird small thing about just like, hey, I'm just gonna commit myself to, like, for everyone, which I feel like you kind of just said, like, if it's in the best interest of everybody and, like, it means committing a little bit more and sacrificing a little bit more, like, sometimes it just might make sense.
Sure.
Which we had that talk yesterday on the phone while we were driving, me and you, Parker.
Yeah.
We're just, like, committing to, like, who cares? Like, if it's not what you want to do, like, if it's not, like, convenient to you, like, if your goal is, like, far down the road, like, you got to do whatever it takes to make sure you're taking that step, that, like, you're still moving forward. Like, even if it's not convenient, even if it's not fun, like, whatever it is, like, you're still moving forward.
Yep. Sean, this is just a quick little question for you, more so than Cade, but, like, what is the entrepreneurial risk look like? Like, what did that risk look like for you, or did you feel like there was any?
I mean, there's always, like, risk in everything you do, right? It just matter of, like, how big a risk it is, right? So, like, I feel like at the time, once again, if I was 18 years old whenever I started, risk to me, like, especially whenever you have a sales rep like you, whenever you're trying to sell somebody on something, like, all you see is the big picture. It's so beautiful. Like, there's nothing that could possibly go wrong. So, like, it doesn't look like a risk in that initial phase, right? So, like, it's whenever it's coming from you, it's a lot easier because, once again, you make that picture look so damn good. But I mean, risk in everything, right? I mean, you're risking, what is it? I mean, friendships. Like, are you risking your time? Like, are you risking family time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like those things, especially at the age we were at, what we were doing. I mean, yeah, obviously there's a financial risk in everything you do whenever you're starting a business as well. But like, for us, like, once again, we're young. Like, we can always make more money. Like, we can always, like, I mean, you look at it now, like, you have more time looking at all that. So, like, time, financial, like, risk is there. But to me, whenever I was in that situation starting it, like, the risk didn't look very big.
And it's a little bit off topic, but how you decrease, and Cade, this is kind of an interesting topic too, I feel like, for you, since you are in the banking space. Like, typically you're exchanging loans. I don't know if you've ever given anybody a new business loan, like, what that process looks like, but, like, so many people, like, when they start a business, like, the initial way that you can decrease your risk in a business. Cade, what am I going to say next? Do you have any idea?
I do not.
What's the one way you think you can decrease your risk in the business? Starting out. What's, like, the riskiest part about starting a business?
I would say financial.
Financial,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So what do most people do when they start a business?
Get a loan.
Go to a guy like you, they convince you to give them a loan, right? Why don't people ever finance the business with customer money, right? Like, why do so many people, and, like, we've seen so many businesses fail, right? I've seen so many businesses fail, and, like, we get this question all the time, but it's like, why don't you sell for 45 days? Like, you go take a down payment, right, on the project, and pretty much that customer is financing your business that you're about to start, right? Because then that reduces your risk, because worst comes to worst, we don't buy any material until we go and install that, right? We're going to have a location coming here in, like, 7 days. we need everybody to vote and see which one it's going to be. We already had them on the Instagram. We're going to start another one here in 7 days, but all we're going to do is we're going to go sell for 45 days. We won't buy any material. We won't buy any equipment. We won't hire any guys. Like, worst comes to worst, we just give them back the money that we took from them. Like, that's a lot less risky than me going and getting a high interest loan from you, right?
And yes, and when you do that, if you do need to end up coming in for a loan still, now you have a down payment that's not your personal money starting up the business. So yeah, that's actually a pretty brilliant idea.
There you go.
You've been thinking about that for a while though, haven't you? Yeah.
There you go. I just taught you something about money, dude.
Yeah.
What I guess one of the last questions I have through this, like, do you guys feel like safety nets, like, put a limitation on the process, or like what you're going through, or your original plan?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it kind of comes back to plan B from the beginning question, right? So it's just more so the fact of a safety net of, like, how hard you're going to go, like, how, like, if you're going all in, like, all of that. Like, I feel like you have that in the back of your mind that, like, okay, this might not work. This might not work. If you have any sort of might not or anything that's negative towards you moving forward, like, it's still in the back of your head. Like, your body's going to continue to gravitate you to the negative side. Like, you got, once again, you got to be all in on giving everything you got.
And I feel like with you two in this business in particular, from the 4 or 5 years you've had it, there has never been a moment that I'm with you guys and it's like, shit, now what? Like, now what are we going to do? Like, something bad happens, it's on to the next. All right, problem solved. This guy quit, we'll hire this guy. Or move this guy up, fill his spot. And I think that's super cool that you guys can do that, because I know, like me, I'm a worrier. If something goes wrong, I'm kind of like, oh shit, okay, now what do I do?
Every situation, right? Like, every situation you've ever been in, and like anyone will be in, by you saying that, like, I had a conversation with Tuna the other day, and he mentioned something about a trailer broke or whatever, this, that, or the other. And he's like, dude, this is like, we just go through so many different things, or this, that, or the other, it's really bad. And I'm like, every situation you have an opportunity to look at is like glass half full or glass half empty. Right? So, like, the limitations you're setting, like, mentally really don't matter, because more times than not, and obviously, like, I struggle with it too, because, I have 175 different things that could go wrong at any different point in time. Like, once that one thing does go wrong, I feel like it creates an opportunity for us to just go up. Right, because, like, when it's coming down, it's like on some days, 2 weeks ago or last week, it feels like the last 2 weeks, it's just been down, 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 down. It's like, okay, when the fuck does this roller coaster start coming up?
Yeah. But I mean, maybe if you look at it the other way, like, when everything's going wrong, like, are you really going up to, like, get to that? Because, like, it always, like, whenever we had to move Brock from Bloomington to Indy, like, we were in a bad spot, and, like, I had to go be on a crew. Like, we were on, like, that felt like a downward hill where we were at. But then we ended up picking Coburn up, and, like, we were actually, like, getting to our peak. Like, we're still getting better. Like, because of that happening, like, we got better.
Yeah.
It's like, are we still going up, or are we going down, or are we still going up?
Yep. I think just limiting the highs and lows of, whatever it may be. Say a guy gets hired over you or whatever it may be, right? It's like not the end of the world. Like, let's find a way to force this thing up.
Put your head down, keep working.
Right. If you guys, what's the last thing that you would say to somebody who's on the fence this way, that way, when it comes to burning the backup plan? What's the last thing you got?
Just gotta go all in. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're thinking about it, like, you can't be half or 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, be all in all the time. Whether that's, I mean, if you talk about relationships, you talk about business, whatever it is, like, you got to be all in whatever you're doing in that moment. Yeah. Otherwise, you're never gonna get to places you want to be. Like, everybody talks about dream lives or dream job, dream whatever it is. Like, if you're never gonna be, like, where you want to be if you're not being present with where you're at.
I've always felt like, too, if something keeps coming to your mind, the same thing just keeps coming up, whether it's a job, a person, a trip you want to go on, if it keeps popping up in your mind, just do it. Yeah. And don't think twice about it. Jump into it full force and just see what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
The last thing that I would leave any and everyone with is kind of the old conversation of like looking on the other side of the fence at that grass, you know, maybe you like that grass, maybe you like that grass more to buy that house, right, versus your house. It's like you can always look on the other side of the fence and want that type of grass, or you can take your ass to the fucking hardware store, like put in the work, buy the fertilizer, buy the sand, buy the black dirt, like put in the work to make your yard nice as fuck instead of always looking on the other side of the fence. You know, I just had a conversation, that specific conversation with one of our design consultants the other day, right? Same thing I did tell our installers, our management team, like whoever it may be, like the grass is always gonna grow green as fuck, like if you put in the work, right? And sometimes it doesn't feel like that. You know, some days are shittier than the next or the previous. Like put in the work to make that grass green as fuck, and you'll reap the benefits of it.
You'll get out of it what you put into it. That bottom line.
110%.
Yep.
That's it, Tim.